This is a message to Lily Craver, the developer of Project Arrhythmia. As you have just witnessed, I've just completed what's said to be one of the most difficult challenges in all of Project Arrhythmia. OON, no-hit. Now, considering how long it took Scott to do something similar, and how long I put off this level, you're probably wondering how long this took me, and how difficult it was. And the answer? It only took me a couple of days, and I didn't find it very difficult or challenging. Now, I did have a lot of fun once I had an entire level memorized, but up until that point, this level was simply unenjoyable and, if anything, really annoying. Why do I say that? Well, it's no fault of Anti, the creator of OON. Rather, it is because of a flaw, or rather multiple flaws, with the game's design. Now, these flaws primarily boil down to 1. The lack of a mode which removes randomness from a level, and 2. The lack of precision movement using keyboard controls. To explain the first issue, take a look at my process for no-hitting levels. I first play through the level in normal mode to gain an understanding of its structure. Note that this is not where I practice the level. It is simply impossible to practice a level such as OON outside of the run you intend to complete the level due to the game's randomization system. Next, I go into one life mode and begin the level. Why one life and not one hit, you might ask? It's so that I can most effectively practice the random seed of the level. Whenever I die in this mode, I get sent back to the beginning of the level with the same randomness. This is the only way for me to play through a level, having its randomness memorized, apart from one hit, but it's much more difficult to practice in that mode. Whenever I die in this mode, I get sent back to the beginning. Oh, wait, no, shoot. If I want to learn the randomization of, say, the last section of the level, I would have to complete everything before it without getting hit more than twice, to get a single shot at learning the randomness. Now, to help counteract this, I'll record my gameplay and watch over my own footage of later sections of the level to plan out the strategy for completing. To plan out a strategy for completing this later section of the level. Now, of course, I cannot simply practice this segment of the level to see if my strategy will work. I must first complete everything before that section without dying, in order to have a single attempt at seeing if my strategy will work or not. This process is not enjoyable or challenging. It is simply tedious and frustrating. It is like playing a demon level in Geometry Dash without having access to practice mode. I'm pretty sure GD would have died by now without this extremely useful feature. An equivalent feature will be a sort of seeded mode, or at least a mode that would get rid of randomization in a level. And before anyone says implementing a seed system would be difficult, I know with 100% certainty that Project Arrhythmia uses a seed-based randomization system. In an earlier version of the game, the randomization of a level would depend on how many button presses you made before playing it, or at least it appeared to be that way. If you press a consistent number of buttons before entering a level, the level would always contain the exact same randomness. As for the second issue, I would often find myself being completely unable to move into a particular necessary position in a level because I keep overshooting where I need to be. And before anyone says that I should just use a controller or whatever, shut up. I like keyboard controls way more, and find playing with the controller unenjoyable. I'm sure many players of the Project Arrhythmia community feel the same way. A simple button to move slower or by pixel will be enough to solve this issue. Additionally, something like this will differentiate this game even more from JSAB, which I'm sure is one of Lily's current goals with the game. And so, to conclude, without either of these features being implemented into the game, I would continue find playing at a high level to be quite unenjoyable and, more than anything, frustrating, and wouldn't expect very many more players to play at the level me and Scott do, or I and Scott do. I am certain that Scott would appreciate these features as much as I would, and a large portion of the game's community probably would too. So please hear me out, consider attempting to implement these features at sometime soon. It doesn't have to work perfectly, but a buggy, unfinished version of either of these features would be so much better than neither being implemented. And yes, I know that you're working on story mode, and that it's a very long and time-consuming process to implement features such as these. But But please just hear me out, understand what I'm saying. Consider my words, and of course, don't just listen to me. Take my words with a grain of salt. I'm probably not the most reliable source to be hearing these words from, so I'm sure that there's many people in the community that feel the same way about these issues that I do. So, yeah. Thank you for listening.